You got a ton of them, but you don't build them. Let's see if standard units are really that bad. Hello everyone, today we'll talk about standard pool units. Full disclaimer, these units aren't impressive at all. In fact, you will find them at the bottom of any tier list or any other kind of evaluation, due to their poor stats and subpar abilities. Even so, these are the units people get the most when rolling, so we might as well analyze how they work. As of the time of recording, we have 22 units which appear on almost every banner. In the future, 2 more units will be added to this list. As beloved as they might be, most people don't invest on them because usually their stats barely surpass the 10 million mark, and their abilities are selfish or niche. If you have other kind of units, like badasses, seasonal units, collab units, or even platinum units, it would be better to spend your resources on those. Regardless of how bad they may be compared to other units, there may be people who want to invest on them for whatever reason, so let's analyze how good they are. For the sake of conveniency, let's divide them in 5 groups. First we had the good DPS units. If you've been playing since launch, you might remember the big 3, Laharl, Desco, and Valvatores. Laharl is known as a good standard pool damaging unit thanks to his NE1 and NE7, both providing a 45% damage boost when using skills or attacking humanoid enemies respectively. He has a good single target S-rank attack. The only thing that he is missing is a cheap AoE to clear stages. Talking about cheap AoE attacks, that's the main appeal of Desco. For many, the first character they pick for their accounts. Desco's abilities improve her physical damage. That, and her 18 SP cost AoE attack, make her a reliable farmer when starting the game. Valvatores was the early unit we used for challenging content, because he has a cheap single target damaging skill, which also heals him. He also has a 40% damage increase on its NE1, and a 45% damage up against monsters on its NE7. The last noteworthy DPS unit is Edna. Nobody talks about her, but she's a really decent boss killing unit. Edna has a 45% damage up against female, and a 60% damage up against Prinis. Believe it or don't, we'll have a raid where the boss is a Prini, so this ability is great for that. Also, 50% of units in the game are female, so that's an easy condition to fulfill to activate the damage boost. And she has a cheap single target attack. The reason why I added her to this list is because you get a lot of copies of her early on. Then we have good supporters. The first good supporter is Laharl. Not only is he a good attacker but also a great supporter. He provides a stat boost of 10% to all the stats, except the speed, on his NE0. That's not much, but it isn't tied to any condition, so you can put him on any team and you'll receive the benefits. There's also the fact that he learns Mega Braveheart, so he's good for any physical damaging teams. Then we have Flown. She's your average healer. Her NE0 helps her increase the party's healing by 20%. Her NE5 reduces damage taken. But her most notable ability is her NE7, which gives her immunity to Forget. This is essential if you want to use her for challenging content. None of her skills are really good, but her spells are great. She has Giga Heal, Omega Heal, Spar, and even Magic Boost. If you don't have a healer and you just miss Pure Flan, then you can use her. Kyoko has been considered a useful supporter since she released, but I've never found her as useful as others may say. She provides a 15% damage boost to fist wielding units, a 13% defense and resist boost to members with boots, reduces the highest action gauge of an enemy by 120, and has Mega Speed down. If your strategy is to become super fast with a fist team, she can help slowing down the enemy, but that's all she can do. Girl Laharl, on the other hand, is one of the best free-to-play units. With a 13% attack and int boost on her NE0, she can fit into any team. Her NE+1 gives her 200 to her action gauge. That means she's fast, but without a doubt, her best ability is her NE+5, which gives 10 SP to the unit with the highest action gauge when the turn ends. She also packs Mega Braveheart on her kit, so that's another selling point for her. Mao has the bare minimum to be a decent supporter for staff teams. His NE0 gives a 12% resist down to the enemy. His NE7 gives an 18% more int to staff wielding allies, and his NE+5 allows him to use Mega Magic Boost repeatedly. He isn't great, but if you don't have anything better, it's useful. The last good supporter is Barbara. She's a tank which becomes tankier the less HP she has. Being an axe unit doesn't do her any favors, but that also means she fits on an axe team. Her most notable skill is Mega Armor Break, which will boost the damage of your physical attackers. Usually standard units have low defensive resistance, but hers is just enough to survive and get healed. Not to mention that thanks to her NE1, whenever she gets hit, she will receive 6 SP, so she can use Mega Armor Break more often. Next we have the bad DPS units. Adele's skills are not particularly good. His best skill is an S rank skill, which he gets at NE3, but because it's very expensive you probably won't be able to use it. Combining all of his abilities, he gets a max attack boost of 57% when attacking on non-monster units, and a 102% when attacking a monster unit. He would be a decent unit, if not for the fact that he has slow speed for a fist-wielding unit. Keeping the trend of fist-wielders, let's talk about Disgaea. He is meant to be a boss killer. With 3 single target skills, he has good options to deal damage without worrying about SP. His best spell is Mega Speed Boost, which he can use to increase his speed or the speed of an SP battery. Disgaea's problem lies not only in the lack of cheap AoE, but also in the fact that he has 2 abilities which focus on speed. He receives an attack boost of 39% with his any 0 and any 5 combined, but that's not high enough. There's also the fact that you don't want a boss killer to be absurdly fast. If they are too fast, you won't be able to stack enough boost because he will take 2 turns before the other units, so he won't be able to reach the buff cap. Mao is a mixed attacker, and that's part of his problem, because he doesn't excel in either physical or magical damage. His abilities give him a variety of effects, which somehow manage to work, but the highest because of his skills prevent him from being useful. The worst part is that his only cheap skill has no element attached to it, so he doesn't receive the full benefit of his any one. Yukimaru's problem is that she has a wide variety of effects, but she doesn't specialize on any of them. Self-water damage up, SP for swords and axes, damage taken from monsters down, damage dealt to monsters up, no cheap AoE, and a random resist break. The lack of consistency doesn't do her any favors, but if you're really hungry for an axe SP battery, you can use her, but that's all she can do. Let's finish the bad DPS units with Zenolith. I actually like this unit. His abilities are fine, giving him an 18% boost to attack on his any 0, a 15% skill damage up on his any 5, and sustainability with a heal on kill on his any 1, and a damage reduction on his any 7. Well then, what's the problem? His skills. Having a 74 SP cost on an AoE is terrible. Even if he has a good buff, that simply makes him unusable. Maybe you could use it as a boss killer, but with a single target rank D attack, you might find it difficult to use. Now it's time to talk about the bad supporters, starting with Cicely. Some may say she's a niche unit for sword teams, but let me tell you that's not the case. She's supposed to be a healer, but her lower stat is resistance, so even if she has good healing spells, she doesn't have the stats to pull that off. The reason why people associate her with sword teams is her any 5, which gives 10 SP to sword wielding allies, but that's all it can provide for them. No physical damage up or elemental damage off to the party, no mega break hard, no mega defense down. She's supposed to be an SP battery and a healer, but she can't even do that correctly due to her poor stats. Raspberry is a worse version of Mao. She only has a 16% int up to monster allies and mega magic boost. Her other abilities doesn't help the party with damage or SP, which is why she isn't good at all. Thursday is a mega break hair user for gun, fist or physical monsters who is immune to paralyze, but a 12% damage up isn't enough reason to use him. His only notable characteristic is that he has good defense. Midboss increases the damage done by monster units passively, and he has mega speed up. It is an okay unit to fill your monster teams if you don't have anything else, but mega speed up is something that you want on your SP batteries, and he isn't. Also, his abilities don't give you a huge boost to your stats, so he isn't that good. Finally, we have the niche units. These are units that you really want to invest on or keep, but only if you have the right teams for them. Jennifer is probably the best F2P unit you can get for a fist team. She reduces the SP cost by 7% with her any 0, and provides SP to the fist wielding allies when her turn begins. You may think that's not really good enough to use her, but she also has mega speed boost, and she herself has a decent speed stat, so if you use it on her, she will take double or even triple turns before her allies, providing between 20 and 30 SP for everyone. Miss Raspberry is exactly the same as Jennifer, but for monster magic teams. With a 10 SP battery for magic monster weapon wielders and mega speed up, she can give tons of SP, and her any 0 is better than Jennifer's, with an 18% int up for magic monster weapon wielders. Another SP battery unit! What a surprise! This time is Rosalind, but you have to be aware that she isn't as effective as the previously mentioned units. She doesn't pack mega speed boost, so she won't be able to abuse her SP battery ability, but what she does have are support abilities. Her any 0 gives a 16% attack up to melee units. Her any 1 gives a 40% attack up to the ally with the highest action gauge when the turn ends, and her any 7 gives a 200 action gauge boost to the ally with the lowest action gauge. Gordon is a support for gun teams, just like Rosalind, but he doesn't provide SP. He gives attack and skill damage with his any 0 and any 1, so that means it's easy to use his full potential as a supporter. He also has mega armor break, so he increases the damage of your units by a lot. He can also be used on Fist teams or Monster Physical teams, but his Any1 doesn't apply to those teams. Last, but definitely not least, is Seraphina. She would have entered in the bad DPS category if not for her Any1, which increases the HL you gain by 10%. It's essential that you get this ability 5 times, either with her or with Hawkmisers, because that will increase the amount of HL you get from your dailies. That's really the only use you may have for her, so you don't really need to invest on her, because you can pass the dailies once and then use skip tickets. So that's it. As I said, these units aren't really that great, but you can use some of them to fill the gaps in your teams. If you like the video, share, like, subscribe, comment. I'm preparing a team comp video for Supreme Lahar, since we'll have his banner soon enough. Other than that, tell me what you want to see next on the comments. See ya!